Today, we're going to look at some simple models we can use to understand how to activate the pelvic floor to lift the pelvis up off the legs. If you play along and make these models with me, you will get more out of this. So if you can, get 2 sticks, 2 books, and an elastic or scarf. First, we'll make a basic model of the pelvis in relation to the thighs. The sticks will be the thighs, and we'll hold them against the sides of the book, near the middle top to bottom, since the hip socket is on the side of the pelvis near the middle. That means there's a portion of the pelvis above the hip socket and a portion below. Most people have the lower end of the back of their pelvis lifted back and up, so we can model that. We want to rotate the pelvis around the hip joint so that the lower end rotates forward and down, while the top rotates back and up. If we really want to activate the pelvic floor, we need to adjust the thighs too. We'll change our model so that we still have the 2 sticks, but now we'll make a little hammock between them with the elastic. The ends of the elastic are basically representing the piriformis and obturator internus. They connect from the back of the pelvis to the greater trochanter, which is on the outside of the upper leg. The hammock is the pelvic floor. We want to wrap the elastic around the hands so it's in the fists which are holding the sticks. If you rotate the sticks out at the back, you will raise the hammock and make it taut. We don't want to narrow with this rotation. The thighs are moving apart. Here we can see what we want with the pelvic floor. Lifting the pelvic floor is not something that is totally internal to the pelvis. It should essentially lift the pelvis up off the legs. We can look at this one more way. Grab your 2 books. First, with one, we can show the rotation of the thigh with a horizontal book. We want to go out with both the front and back as we rotate. Second, we hold the other book vertical to be the pelvis. Again, we rotate up at the front and down at the back. We can put the 2 models together and show one side of the pelvis and thigh adjusting. Although remember, the hip socket is in the middle of the pelvis top to bottom. These simultaneous rotations in 2 planes are useful in standing, walking, running, and really most gestures. This is an encapsulation of what we use to improve our posture. We learn and understand the movements that are needed to combat the common shortening habit, the movements that will pull the fascia and muscle into appropriate length so that there's due tension. For any new people here, the idea is not to repeat reps of this adjustment where you let go and then make the movements again. You want to make the set of movements and then attempt to sustain it. Sustain it as you stand, and then try to sustain it as you walk. At first, that will be difficult, and you'll lose the coordination of movements fairly quickly. But over time, you'll get better. You can make multiple attempts in a row at coordinating the movements, but don't let go in between. This lifting of the pelvis off of the legs will stabilize the lower torso and help you to support the upper torso. It should help you lift your rib cage, which should also tend to lift your head. When you bring due tension to a drooping structure, it becomes more erect. Just make sure you don't bend your knees, and make sure you're lifting the front of your pelvis. Your pelvis should not go forward in space. Really, we want to keep the front of the pelvis back. So if you want to properly activate your pelvic floor, don't get on the ground and repeat some mindless shortening exercise that has little relation to actually standing or walking. Use this logical set of directions to introduce the due tension that will lift the pelvic floor and the pelvis and the entire torso. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them in the comment section below.